What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. This video is also brought to you by two things. Since we don't do any sponsorships here on the channel, I'll go ahead and shill them out real quick. The first is my music, which is available anywhere you stream music under the name After Sound, and the second is a new podcast I just launched called Chasing Infinity. It is myself and ChatGPT as my AI co-host, and we dive into a wide range of topics in short-form videos just like these. So check it out. Links in the description below, and I appreciate the support. All right, guys, let's talk about the pathway forward for DEC, and more specifically, the big burners of SPS, the biggest buyers of SPS and buyers and burners of SPS and DEC is the team, right? So I want to track where things are at and where they're trending as of now, because I do believe it's going to be quite important and give us a little bit of a time frame over what the next 4 to 6 months will look like. So you can see here, I'm looking at the hire Splinterlands to develop the next major card set Conclave Arcana proposal. This voting is closing in 2 days. It is very comfortably passing right now at 91%. I'm going to assume that it does pass, which means that the team is going to get another 600 million DEC to hold them over for, well, I guess about 15-ish weeks, right? Because if we're doing 40, we've seen like 40 million DEC per week as a reduction, right? What's coming in through credits. And as long as that doesn't slow down or speed up too much, and we'll get into that in a minute, as long as that doesn't change too much, if we have that, average run rate, that's going to give us about 15 weeks. Now you add in the fact that the company also has about 87 million right now, and that means once they get the DEC, it's going to get us to somewhere around mid to late February that the team would run out of DEC in their stores, in their reserves, I should say. So what does that mean, and why am I so focused on it? Well, it's because once that happens, they're going to go out onto the market and they're going to do one of two things. First, if DEC is below peg, they're going to buy DEC off the marketplace in order to facilitate back-end transactions, right? The second thing, and I think this is more exciting, is that if DEC is at peg, right, then they will go out and buy SPS and burn that. And we saw that happen. We saw the flywheel activate roughly a year ago when the Rebellion sale went live, or the pre-sale went live, when land came out. SPS obviously got a huge boost. The team was buying a ton off the marketplace and burning it for DEC, right? So at this point in time, it's another 4 to 5-ish months until then. But what's coming out next year, and how does this coincide with where we're seeing things, right? So let's start from the back first, and then we can move. We'll start from the far future, is what I mean, and then we'll work our way back to the present. So obviously, with the Conclave Arcana proposal, the team is saying that they want to get it out by the end of April, which means, again, my guess is that we're going to have a month-long-ish, just on average, pre-sale. And if that comes out sometime in March, keep in mind that February timeframe is when they would run out of DEC. So if the pre-sale starts sometime in March, and maybe it might not be until the end of March, maybe mid-March, who knows, there might be a little bit of a month gap there. But we could see a situation where obviously the team has now run out of DEC, assuming the team doesn't get any other like injections and little stimmies of DEC over the next couple of months. We could see a situation where, as people are starting to get excited, as the pre-sale for Conclave Arcana is set to roll out, the team no longer has any more DEC, right? They don't have no more DEC, which means they need to go, and all the credits that are coming in are going to be used to go and buy SPS off the marketplace and essentially get the flywheel burning. Well, actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. That's assuming DEC is at peg. They're first going to go buy DEC. If DEC gets back up to peg, then they're going to start buying SPS. Either way, both of those things, one leads to the other, right? If they're going to buy DEC, they're probably going to be buying it in massive amounts. And for the folks that are preparing for Conclave Arcana, that want to buy into Conclave Arcana, they will be buying DEC as well as of right now, if you want to buy pre-sale, right? If you want to buy now, you can essentially get a 15% discount by buying and holding DEC between now and then. Is that the right thing to do? No, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying that right now, DEC is still well below peg. So that's the furthest out. In between there, So let's say January to March timeframe. There are a couple of things that I think we are expecting. Now, again, I don't know what the ramifications of this, what the implications, what the economics are going to the economic impact, is going to ultimately be, but I don't think it's going to be zero, right? As of now, we've been going through and having, we've been having these sales the last couple of months. And while that is a good amount of economic impact, it's hard to predict how much economic impact something like, let's say, Land 1.75 is going to have versus people buying, 200 million DEC worth of promo cards, 250 million DEC over the past 2 months. So if it's not going to be zero, but there's several things happening next year, potentially 4 things, right, that the team is committed to getting out before Conclave Arcana. And as of now, I don't know that we're going to expect any of them by the end of this year. Hopefully we can get hardcore mode, but that's the one that we have, the least idea of, except for the fact that it's been prioritized over Glamour, which we thought was coming out this year, but it's been confirmed from Matt that Glamour is coming out next year. Land 1.75 is coming out next year. And the free-to-play mobile version app is coming out next year as well. Again, that probably doesn't have as much of an economic impact, or at least not directly, but Land and Glamour will, right? Just getting the LPs up and running for Land for the 3 new resources is going to be something significant. The fact that there's going to be a lot more volume in trading means that a lot more DEC is going to get burned just automatically from people trading the different assets that they need, the different resources that they need, right? On the other side, I don't know what Glamour is going to be or what Glamour is going to offer, but hopefully there will be sufficient DEC sinks there. Again, that coming into the mix, and let's say Glamour is tradable, which I believe is the intent right now, right? Glamour is still going to be some kind of NFT, right, that you'll be able to get and attach to your cards. Well, if that's the case, that's going to create some kind of economic activity, right? Some market activity, and all the market activity ends up burning DEC for any and all transactions. So that's what I'm saying. Like these things that the team is planning in Q1, we'll just say for Q1 of next year, is going to have some kind of impact. And the reason I'm highlighting that, right, we know this is already, but the reason I'm highlighting that is because if we're still thinking like 40 million DEC per week, that could add to it significantly. And the reason why I think it's important is really the only month that we're not going to have something is February. When I say we're not going to have something, I mean we're not going to have one of these promo cards, right? Because the promo card sale, Hall of Legends, is going for 5 months, right? There's 5 phases of it. The final phase is in January, which means, again, just if we're looking at recent history as our guide and we're using that 40 million, we're going to be doing 40 million DEC. Again, and when I say 40 million DEC, the company's going to be removing 40 million DEC from its coffers to facilitate back-end transactions and credits throughout January. So February is the only month where things could get a little bit of wonky, but that's probably offset, if not, even more so of an impact with the fact that you're going to have Land, which is huge, Glamour, which is non-zero, right? Maybe new players coming in if the marketing picks up, hardcore mode, which could potentially do some certain things, right? So I'm looking at Q1 and essentially saying, right, let's say we do 40 million between now and the end of the year, and we're just on a nice cruising run rate. Once we get to Q1, right, January allows us to keep cruising, but on top of that, we're going to have several other areas in which we could see DEC coming in by the boatload, meaning credits coming in by the boatload, so therefore the company reserves are going low. So that's Q1, right? And that includes the end of the Hall of Legends. You go into where we're at now, we're already pretty much through October at this point, but we are about to launch the auction promo on top of 2 other phases for Hall of Legends, one in November and one in December. So once again, we assume that, really the only thing that's come out the last couple of months is these Hall of Legend promos. So if that's the case, then if people continue to buy these cards, we're getting a rough run rate of 40 million per week. We keep that. Well, all of a sudden you're adding the auction promo on top. So what am I trying to get at with all this? Well, it's the fact that we can continue, right? We can continue at the 40 million over the next 4-ish months or so. But there's other factors being added on top of that, right? First, here in over the next couple of months, in November and December, with the auction promo, and then I actually failed to mention the end of the Rebellion sale, right? If people decide that they want to come in and pick up some packs before the end, and it's all said and done, that could be another catalyst too that brings a lot of credits in. And then, of course, going into Q1 of next year, as I mentioned, all of those other things added on top of the Holo Legends promo in January. So let me tie it all back together. The reason why I'm talking about this in the first place, it's because if we end up burning more, if we end up going through more DEC than our usual run rate, which at this point in time, the evidence is looking like it probably could, especially if the market's going to be cooperative and Bitcoin might be in price discovery mode at some point over the next 4 months. Well, all of a sudden the team's going to run out of DEC well before, right? Well before we get to the point of the Conclave Arcana sale, well before the end of February, which if that happens, all of a sudden, and there's a lot of economic activity, people are bringing money into the game, credits are finding their way. I mean, all of a sudden the team starts activating the flywheel well before the pre-sale. And who knows what happens when the pre-sale goes live. I've talked about this already, but we're talking about like potentially 5 billion DEC in terms of volume for just the pre-sale alone, right? And again, you put this against the backdrop of hopefully what will be a broader bull run and everything else going on within the game. Could be exciting times. So obviously, the team's going to get a little DEC stimmy injection, which is going to slow things down from a flywheel standpoint, at least. Well, not really a flywheel standpoint, but they're the biggest buyer of DEC. They're the biggest buyer of SPS, buyer and burner of SPS. So it's going to slow that down for the time being, which obviously we all know because we voted, or at least 91% of the stake voted in favor of it. But that time frame of mid to late February is what I'm targeting for the latest possible. Again, barring any other injections that they get. So if we can get to that point, and if we get to that point actually before the end of February or mid to end of February, we'll have some time there where who knows what could potentially happen if the market is doing well, if the game is doing well, marketing is on point, new players coming in, the team, any other cards or whatever, any type of economic activity, land or whatever that's pulling new credits in, all of a sudden the team is forced to buy. It could be exciting times in Q1. That's all I'm saying. So I know it's a little bit of a bullish post, but I tried to give my receipts for it, my reasons why. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.